back a year ago.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a brew day. So this is going to be a grain to glass video. So you're going to see me again in the future tasting the beer. But at the moment I've got the the liquor coming up to strike temperature, and I'm brewing today a New England IPA style beer. It's my take on my own take of putty from Verdant. So I designed my own recipe earlier in the year, brewed a Verdant type clone, and this is going to be the little brother of that clone, so it's just going to be lowering the ABV a little bit, and I'm going for Mosaic Galaxy Azacca for the hops. I'm hoping for a hazy beer, and possibly I'd say around about 5.5 to 6% in ABV, but yeah, so it's going to be like so it's a smaller version of my clone of putty. Putty was like the big hype beer. It's always a big hype beer around January time, February. So I'm just getting mine done. I know it's autumn now, but I do like a New England IPA all year round. Like I do a stout. So yeah, I'm going to look forward to doing this. Nothing much to tell you. I'll cut to a video now. It's going to start the brew day, show you the ingredients, and yeah, I'll see you in the future. And hopefully, I'll be enjoying a glass of my little putt. That's the name I'm giving to it. So yeah, starting it off with a nice coffee made by Mrs. B. Always start a brew day off with a nice coffee in the morning. So, okay, hope you enjoy the footage, and I'll see you with a beer. Cheers. Right, so this is the ingredients. This is a grain bill, and we've got the yeast starter. So this is it's basically a strain from the last brew that I did with the Verdant yeast. So what I've done, yeast wash, started it again, and it's ready. You can see there, it's ready to go. Okay, it's got lots of activity in there. So that's going to be in the brew. And this is the hop. So it's going to be Whirlpool edition of hops, and we've got Mosaic, Azacca and Galaxy. Got some small addition of the salts for the water, and then you got the grist, the grain bill, which is made up of Golden Promise, wheat, chit with a C, rolled oats, wheat flaked, torrefied wheat, naked oats and flaked oats. So let's get brewing. Okay, so that's the strike temperature here for the mash. So I'm going to mash in, add my salts, give it a good stir, make sure there's no dough balls. Mrs. B's helping me, she's going to be pouring in from that side of the, getting all this grain in here. So I can stir as we go type thing. So just making sure there's no dough balls really. Don't want that. Lose a bit of efficiency if you have clumps. Want it all to be soaked in. So now we're going to add the salts for the mash, stir it in, then I'll take a little sample so I can test the pH. This is also going to have 3 millilitres of lactic acid in, because I've worked out, there's a calculator on the Beersmith that's saying to add 3 millilitres of lactic acid to the mash as well, just to reduce that pH, try and get a balance. So, but if you don't know what lactic acid is, it's just a food grade lactic acid which you can get. You get it in yogurts and everything really, to be honest. It's just food grade acid which just helps reduce the pH of the water. So I'm going to inject 3 mils. There we go, 3 mils straight in. Give it another stir, and I'll get my little jar. What I do as always, go from the side of the bag, get a sample, leave that for 15 minutes, and then check it with a pH meter. So let's see what temperature we're trying to reach about 68 for the mash temp. 60-minute mash. I'm happy with that. That's 68. So yeah, it's jumping between 68.9 and 68.7. But I'm happy with that because we'll lose 1.5 degrees or so over the next hour with it being on the stovetop. But yeah, so now throw on the towels just to insulate it now for the next 60 minutes, and then I'll come back to you. Okay, so we've reached the 60-minute mash. So all I need to do now is get this bag out and strain that wort through it. Get as much of the sugary stuff as I can possibly get. Then start the boil. So yeah, let's get that bag, let's drain it, or strain it. Right, we've hit the boil, so you can see there's a lot of protein in here. So you just got to make sure it doesn't boil over. But that's a lot of protein from them the grains that we've used. So now it's a 60-minute boil, and it's another one of them beers that I'm doing no hops until we get to the whirlpool. So the hop additions for this beer is all whirlpool and then dry hop after basically, or just before. I'm going to do dry hopping just before it ends fermentation. So a few days before I'm going to keg it. So yeah, 60 minutes to wait now. Then I'll cool it down, and then I'm going to add the whirlpool hops. 60-minute boil done. So now it's just time to get it cooled down to around about 80 degrees to add the hops for the whirlpool. Then cool down and put in the fermenter, add the yeast starter I've done, and then it's going to be put in the fridge. Well, not the fridge, but the fermentation fridge, which has got the Inkbird for the heat control. Okay, so I'll get this cooled down, and I'll get a whirlpool and add the hops. Okay, so it got it down to the desired temperature for the whirlpool. So my method is to just really get the spoon in, get some sort of whirlpool going on, and I'll put in the hops, put the lid on, and let it sit for about 25 minutes, steeping. There goes the hops. Straight in, lid on, which is now full of wort. It's fine. Okay, next part, cooling yeast fermenter. So I hope you enjoyed that. So here is the beer now. So there's a glass. So yeah, it's New England IPA. I've tried it before this video, and when I brewed the beer, the fermentation sort of got a little bit of a stuck fermentation. I didn't realise, and then I dry hopped it, hoping it would only dry hop for 2 days. So I put the dry hops in, then realised it hadn't finished fermenting, so it went for another week. So this beer, this New England IPA, has actually turned out more bitter than I intended it to. Still a nice beer, but more bitter. So, hey ho, I've got to rebrew it again. So, yeah. Let's see if it's changed any though, since I last had it. So, it's behind me in the keg. I have put a bit of gas in the keg. You can see that. So hopefully there's enough just to serve, and then I can put it back into the fridge. So, here we go. First pour though is going to be a bit of a... Yeah. First pour out the keg, even though I've got the tap with the smallest beer line in. Always, I mean, it's nice creamy head. Put it that way. And what I'll do, I'll let that settle a little bit. And hopefully I might get a little bit more in the glass. So it ended up 6.3%. So it wasn't that small on NEIPA. Like I said, Golden Promise, wheat, chip malt, rolled oats, flake wheat, torrefied wheat, naked oats, and flaked oats. And the hops were Mosaic, Galaxy, and Azaka. Basically only put hops in the whirlpool, and then I did a dry hop with the hops as well. I used the Verdant yeast, made a starter from a previous beer from the Verdant yeast. So that Verdant yeast is a cracking yeast as well. Oh, there you go. It's settled out a little bit, so you can see that in the glass. I've got no problems there with being oxidised. Nothing I can see at all. I think I've just basically put a load more. Yeah. Just put a load more froth back into that, haven't I? Crazy. But there you go. You can see, hopefully you can see the beer anyway in the glass. It's got like a lemon looking colour. It's opaque, just off the camera there. So it looks good. Happy with that. Happy with the look. The aroma. See now, because it dry hop for longer, then Galaxy have brought a lot of grapefruit. Now, in the aroma, getting past the initial grapefruit, you do get some tropical notes as well there. It smells good. It really does. Okay. Cheers. Can't see it now. Cheers. Let's taste it. So the bitterness has died down slightly. The mouthfeel is nice. I'd say the other tropical notes are coming through, but the grapefruit is quite prominent, and that's got to be coming from Galaxy, because Galaxy, it depends on how you use Galaxy, can bring bitter and grapefruit. If you use it well, you don't get that. You can get nice tropical notes and peachy notes, but because this was dry hop for a week with Galaxy in there, it's picked up on some of that grapefruit bitterness, which is still a very drinkable beer though. It just wasn't what I was aiming for, but I'm happy with it. Mouthfeel medium, that's okay. A little bit of sweetness at the back, that malt. I'd say, all in all, it was a success, but wasn't the beer I intended to brew. But still, I'm just trying to get rid of that head, but it's not going to happen, is it? It's just a little bit, maybe a little bit warm because I've pulled it out of the beer fridge. So that head's just sticking around it really. Look at that creamy head. But overall, I'm happy with that. I will rebrew it, and I'll make sure I'll check the gravity before a dry hop. I just can't believe I just dry hopped and then thought, whoa, is that finished? And no, it hadn't finished. So my bad. But I'm happy with that. Like I say, it's an easy drinking beer, 6.3%, going down really well. What more can I say? Okay, thanks for watching. Cheers, and I'll see you on the next one.
I've been dreaming on in my head like I've seen it. A life worth living is a life with meaning. I'll do what I love till my heart stops beating.